Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today, March 31st of 2021 at approximately 5 a.m. PST. We've talked a lot about success and where it stands. So the first question I have for you, and it's the same one that I have for myself. Do you know what success is to you? Okay. The best way to look at this is welcome to the first day of the rest of your life. Makes no functional matter how you got to where you are, how long it took you to get there. Doesn't matter what age you are, doesn't matter what social class you come from, doesn't matter anything about it. One thing is for certain. Every single one of you is the same. Okay, you all have differences, absolutely. You all have similarities. But the reality is, you all have one thing in common. You are the only one in control of your future. You're the only one that can determine whether you're successful. Now, three karmic laws that you find that you would be well advised to follow, and the reason I put it that way is these three karmic laws. We'll try English. Three karmic laws are: be true to yourself first, do unto others as you desire them to do unto you, energy out, energy in. Now, take a look, whatever religion you follow, whatever spiritual guideline you have, ask yourself one thing. The guidelines that they lay out for you that you've learned, do they fit into those three laws? If the answer is yes, then you're all following the same path. Okay, now I can tell you what I've done to get to where I am. I've come from a horrendous past in a lot of ways, at least in my own mind. Now, do understand, when I say you're the only one that has control over your life, you're the only one that can be successful for you. What I mean by that is, no matter what anybody tells you, if you don't get up and do something, you're not going to succeed. Okay, in simplest terms, try this one. If you're hungry, who can satisfy that? Okay, anybody can bring you food, anybody can bring you drink, but unless it goes into your body, and yes, some of you unfortunately require assistance to even get it into your body. But if it doesn't go into your body one way or the other, your body will fade. You're the one that has to do it. Now, considering what I've seen over the years, okay, I can tell you there is very little on this planet that cannot be accomplished by you. Okay, you may not know how. And let's be clear, there are two forms of ignorance, in my opinion. You have ignorance as in the type of person, the type of thing that classifies in modern society as being rude. Okay, or being complicated. Or there is what I consider true ignorance. For whatever reason, you haven't got the message yet. Either somebody hasn't gifted it to you in a way that you could comprehend and accept, or you just haven't been put in a position where you could figure it out. So, where are you at this point? In your life, are you content with the way your entire life is? Okay. Or are there parts of it that you're not happy with? Now, a couple of tools that I personally have used. Understand, I have my own, I have a job. I work for another company. I go on shift on their schedule, and I let them do all the advertising. I let them handle everything, and I have my own business. Okay, now in the case of my own business, I handle advertising, I handle my work hours, I handle customer relations, I handle all my accounting, all of that. Okay. Now, I don't do my own taxes. Quite frankly, I take my taxes to somebody else. So, we start at the very beginning. Are you content with where your life is? And for me personally, the answer is not even remotely close. Although I am, well, I guess remotely I am. But where I'm standing right now, I've hit a crossroads where I have to do one of two things. Either keep floundering or get really focused on where I'm heading. Now, the first three things that I've done to get really focused on that. First one, I've made a decision for me. It's time to get really focused. To that end, on that back wall, and I pointed this out before, that's my business license, right about there. Okay, no, you probably can't see it. Now, you might have one of these neat little cameras that you can zoom in and check it out. You know, it doesn't really matter to me. If I didn't, it's not a question of desire you to see it. It's a question of if I was worried about whether you could see it, I certainly wouldn't be on video. Okay. But my company is Inner Voice Enterprises. Essentially, it came about as looking at a few things. Okay, and I'm going to go into this again, into this aspect of it next week on, if everything goes well, it'll be on Monday when I put out another business video. But I've got that there. Up here, I've got a sign that says I have legally attained a minimum of $2,000 by 11:59 p.m. March 31st of 2021. Now I can tell you right now, I've already hit that point. I've made that much money this month. Over on that wall is the most important sign that I've got in this whole building. I am worth it. Okay, 4 words, absolutely powerful. Okay, they are the most important words where it comes to focus, where it comes to really self-esteem, self-worth, self-value, where it comes to getting a clear picture of who you are. Those 4 words tell you why. Okay. And with that in mind, it's time from your standpoint to go, am I happy where I am? You know, where I am in life. Now, I've shown you this before. This is it's a little list. You can't read it at this point. I wouldn't bother if I could. But my handwriting, in case you hadn't figured it out, is kind of atrocious, but I can read it. And I'm not doing it for other people. This is for me. There are things that I desire to get sorted around, not the least of which, and we'll take a look at it. You know, I will be working on this over the next little while. Today is the day that I have to get everything organized. I've got to lay the last of it out so I can make certain that starting tomorrow, the only place my life goes is up. Okay, now, when you talk to people from virtually every religion, every spiritual guideline, they talk about a place called the Garden of Eden, or a variation, Shangri-La. There's a lot of different terms for it. Okay, I'm telling you right now, wherever you are, whatever your life, you're standing on the place where you can make your own perfect world. Okay, or at least close to it. Yes, there are other people that will absolutely create complications. You cannot control their way of looking at the world, only your reaction to it. I am absolutely certain I am going to get called all sorts of things over the next several years, primarily because I've been called all sorts of things over the last several. Some of them will hopefully be repeatable in polite company. Now, from my standpoint, it's real simple. Okay, I'm going to be well, I've already started redesigning my life, but that's okay. You take a look where you are and go, okay, what am I not content with? Well, behind me you'll see, can't see that very well, but what the heck. No, I've blocked it off pretty much. You can see the edge of the table. Now that's where I've started working. But I'm going to be modifying this whole layout in here. Okay. The majority of it anyway. The reason being, where to start changing your life is wherever you're sitting right now. Wherever you're watching this video, that's where you start changing your life. Wherever if you're listening to it, let's say that you've got this on audio broadcast, so you're not actually watching the video. And rest assured, I end up doing a lot of things at the same time that I'm working. Okay, wherever you are, that is where you start changing your life. Okay, that is where you start getting rid of the things that you do not desire in your life, that you are no longer content with. Now, there are certain extenuating circumstances that dictate which order you get rid of things. Okay, number one, priority one, in my opinion, okay, is your word. Whatever you tell people, that's what you're going to do, regardless of how bizarre it is. Okay, providing it falls into the 3 karmic laws. Okay, given that you're following those 3 karmic laws and an extra guideline, whatever you're doing, whatever you're choosing to do, okay, ask yourself this: can I stand up and proudly say, I did this? Okay, now, I fought for a lot of years to get myself on an even track. And my mom and dad made it very clear. If you desire to do something well, talk to somebody that has done it well. Okay, now, both my parents have passed away, so in conventional terms, I cannot talk to them anymore. However, being a working medium, I actually can. And here's the thing. Dad spent his entire life trying to help people feel better about themselves, trying to gift them with tools they could use to make their life better, mine included. Okay, now the difficult part here is I didn't actually see what he was up to. He told me, and I'm sure your parents have told you things that later you figured out, well, wait a minute, this is what they meant. Okay, to those of you that still have parents, put your life in order. If you're at odds with your parents, talk to them. They don't have to agree with everything you're doing, but take it from somebody that has lost both of them. Technically, I didn't lose them. I know where they are. They're both dead. But before yours pass away, regardless of the distance between you, either physical or mental, or emotional, regardless of what you've gone through, okay, make the effort to reach out to them. Okay, same applies to the parents who have lost connection with kids. Okay, the family that you're born into is a critical part of your life, and it's the one thing you can never change. No matter how much at odds you get with any of your bloodline family, you cannot stop from being their bloodline family. Okay, so it is time to put the entire past to rest. Get on the track, find out where you desire to go, and very strongly recommended, reach out to the family that you've got, the ones that are left, because I'll tell you, knowing from past experience, from personal experience myself, and from a staggering number of people that I've talked to, as in over 80,000 clients, it is far easier to get things balanced out between you, okay, before the family passes away than afterwards. Now, some of them you may not be able to reach, because don't forget, doesn't matter how much effort you put in, it's only 50% of the required effort. But if you don't make the effort, you'll end up doing what I did, going, I should have done this, I should have done that, I wish I had done this. Okay, and you can't do anything about it at that point. At this point, there are still people in my family that I have to straighten things out with. I cannot do anything about the way they behave. I can only do things about the way I behave, or the way I react to how they behave. Okay, Now, the silliest thing that I ever did, in all fairness, in my opinion, was bottled my emotions to the point of creating health issues for myself. Now, I cannot effectively blame anybody else. It was my lack of focus on my own ability and my lack of taking into consideration what I've got control over that created that problem. Yes, they did things that aggravated the situation, but it was my choice on how I dealt with it that caused the problem, and how I dealt with it was wrong. Really wrong in my eyes. For me. I bottled my emotions because I didn't know how to deal with it. So I tried bottling what I was going through. The sad reality of it is, bottling those emotions created health issues, which I now have to correct. And yes, all of them I can correct. The one I'm going to have a hard time with is making sure that I live to see what I want and what I desire to see. And this one's going to be a challenge. Starting with my life as it is right this moment, right now, I'm eliminating everything I do not desire. Okay, and I mean thought processes, physical stuff I don't require. Okay, I'm upgrading what I can upgrade, what I've got the capacity to upgrade, but I'm not going to hang myself to do it, metaphorically speaking. Okay, so that said, take a look at where you're standing and go, okay, this is where I am. This is what I desire. Okay, one of the things I desire to see happen, because I am going to take, what my aim is to take these messages and get them to everybody on the planet. And there is a reason for that. Okay, number one, I'm not the best person on the planet. I'm not absolutely perfect. I am not a millionaire. There's a million things I'm not. One of the obvious is I'm not female. Okay, and I'm not about to change that one anytime soon. But, that said, okay, my goal is to get this message out to everybody that all of you are of equal value, regardless of where you come from, regardless of what you look like, regardless of your social station. Okay, doesn't matter. Every single one of you, from the poorest of the poor to the wealthiest of the wealthy, and I'm referring to the financial wealthiest of the wealthy, as well as the spiritual wealthiest of the wealthy, you're all equally of worth. Keep that in the center of your head. Okay, keep that right in your heart. There is not a person on the planet that is worth less than another. Okay, every single individual, every single blade of grass, every single bird has value. They are all part of a massive chain of existence. Okay, and this planet is only a very, very minuscule part of that chain. It was once said we are all connected. The reality is I don't know entirely whether or not the person that made that comment realized how accurate they were. Okay, the reality is, whatever you do, it's going to affect the people around you. If you stand in one place and you don't move, it will affect the people around you. Okay? And it may adversely affect you at the same time. Prime example, a little extreme. Okay, if you stand in the middle of a traffic flow, like let's say just on the sidewalk, a lot of people, you're walking along and you stop and you stand still. It affects the people around you because now that flow has to alter its own trajectory to carry on whatever direction they're going. When you look at the way energy works, and we're just going to touch on this for half a second, we'll come back to it at a later time, okay, in a future video. Okay, there's something called Feng Shui. Okay, usually it's associated with Eastern philosophy. Okay, and it works great the way it's laid out, but something we have to understand. Eastern philosophy, Eastern style Feng Shui works great when they talk about, have the door facing this direction, have your whatever, your financial corner set up over in this particular corner. It works great in Eastern philosophy, but the reason it works is because their entire society is built on the same culture. It's built on the same philosophy. In Western society, we are all extremely individualistic, far more than in other ways. Okay, but the idea of feng shui, energy flow is absolutely accurate. Okay, and this is the one very definitive path that I'm going to be following as I redesign my house starting today. I'll be doing the measurements today because one of the things I'm going to be doing that I'm looking at is redesigning the office, bringing in furniture that works for me. Okay, not necessarily for anybody else. It is strictly being laid out for me to clear out what I don't desire, to keep what I do desire. You get the idea. Okay, so it boils down to, what are you content with? So many people have talked to me and said, I don't know what I desire to do next. I have no idea where I'm going. How do I figure it out? Well, how you figure it out is by not figuring out where you're going, but by figuring out where you are. Take a look at what's going on with your life. What are you not content with? That's the thing you shift. Because when you eliminate everything you're not content with in your life, okay, then what you've got left is a life that you're content with, that you're happy with, that you've got what you're aiming for. Okay, now understand, if it's something you personally are doing, okay, like for me, redesigning my office, I'm the only one that it effectively affects. Okay, yes, I've got a son that lives with me, but the layout of my office doesn't have any functional bearing on him. The layout of the living room, on the other hand, has a great deal of bearing on him. Okay, and to that end, I will be discussing with him what I'm proposing, and we will evolve things from there. But you eliminate the things in your life you're not content with. Okay, now this list, when I put this list together, what I do is, now I recommend, and it was recommended to me, start with 3 things. Whatever 3 you desire. Write them down. When you finish one, check it off. Write down a 3rd one at the bottom of the list. In this way, you've got a rotating number. Now, myself, because of the way that my mind works, I modified that a little. I actually start my day off with 12 items. Okay, especially in today's world. I don't tend to do one thing at a time. The fact that I stay focused and only do one thing at a time for the most part while I'm sitting here is, to me, almost amazing. But it's because I'm sitting here, I've got a goal in mind of what I desire to do. Okay, and I'm hoping you'll join me on this journey, because the idea is to take the entire planet, regardless of where you're from, regardless of your belief structure, okay, where it comes to churches, temples, that sort of thing, go to whichever one you desire. They are fabulous for a sense of brotherhood, a sense of belonging. Where it comes to family, pick at least one meal out of the day. Okay, and start having it at the table, at the dining room table, together. It may be a foreign concept to you. Okay, maybe you've forgotten about it. Maybe you grew up that way and perhaps got away from it. I know that's what we did. Okay, pick one meal out of the day, shut the electronics off, or at least, put them on pause. Go and have the meals. I remember one gentleman told me when smoking became illegal in restaurants, at least around here. And this gentleman used to smoke 3 packs a day. And he sat down and he told us, he goes, look, he says, when I go out to a restaurant there, you're not allowed to smoke in the restaurant anymore. He says, but I'll tell you, I smoke 3 packs a day. If I can't sit down for an hour to an hour and a half without a cigarette, I have a problem, not the restaurant. If you cannot do that, don't go to the restaurant. Okay, same idea with the computers of today's world. If you can't go one meal, half an hour to an hour, maybe an hour and a half, depending on the way you eat and the way you get caught up in conversation, take that one meal, breakfast, lunch, or supper. Okay, pick one to sit down and have a meal together, if at all possible. Now, I know with some of you, your schedule is going to be really screwy, and it may be hard to balance that out. Find a day at a bare, absolute rock bottom minimum. Take one day out of the week and make it happen. Okay, and let's not go with the idea of that's impossible. If there's one thing I've found out, there is very little on this planet that is impossible. There's a lot that requires a lot of effort. Okay, the question is your life worth the effort? Where you are right now, this is where we start. This is the very first day of the rest of your life. And it is going to be your effort and your effort alone that will determine whether or not you have a successful life from this point forward or whether you don't. So, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel so that you can get the rest of the videos as they come out. Share the daylights out of it. Get this message out. People have to work together. If we're going to make this planet a proper, unified planet where we can all have a decent life, okay, where we can end the wars, where we can end the conflict, yes, it is possible, but it's going to require each and every individual's effort to do it. Okay, to that end, I'm going to bring this to a close. Now, if you look at the bottom of the video, okay, you'll see a list of different publications I've already got in print that summarize a lot of what I talk about. Okay, they can be ordered directly through me only. Okay, there's also a list of contact points below. If you've got a question, if you've got a suggestion, it doesn't matter what it is, drop me a line. Well, it does matter. There are certain things I won't deal with. I will do my best to get back to you. I will be getting other videos out to deal with this sort of thing. Until we meet again, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.